Hi, everybody. It's Tracy from the Fairborn branch of your Greene County Public Library. I'm here today to talk to you about what to do when you get stuck and some ideas when you get stuck in your genealogy research. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. Okay. All right. So here we go. So this is what to do when you get stuck. So you're working on your genealogy and you just hit a wall. You can't find anything else about these people. You can't find anything else about who you're researching, where you're researching. What can you do? The first thing to understand is this happens to everybody at some point in time in your research. I have had things where I have been stuck for literally 2 years trying to find any information about a person. Eventually, it will happen. Be patient. I'm going to give you some tips on what to do. First thing you need to do is wait for a little bit. This can help for a number of reasons, which we'll get to in a minute. And this one I think is the hardest one, to just be patient and wait. The second thing is review. Review what you have. Look back at your information and actually look at the original documents if you can, or scans of the original documents to reread. Did you miss something? Is something not spelled quite the same way that you thought? Is it in a different place, a different city, a different state? Just review everything you have and see if you've possibly missed anything. Next thing is check different um, name variations. Sometimes names are spelled differently in different parts of the country, and it could have changed spellings. Some people used phonetic spellings instead of the actual way it was spelled. So try that and see if you can come up with another way to spell things. And the fourth thing is do a map or a timeline. This is time consuming and it is a little annoying at times, but it does help you see where you're missing information about a person. Like I knew, for example, the grandfather that I was researching was born in 1860. I had no information on him until the early 1900s when he was in Alabama. And putting that together with some of the stuff that I found where it had possible birthplaces, possible death places, and a timeline, let me see exactly where I was missing him at and helped me figure out what records were available and that kind of stuff. We'll get into that a little bit more, but let's keep going. The hardest thing to do is wait. And the reason I tell you to do this is because there are constantly things being added to different website databases are being added to, records are being released, records are being acquired by different companies. So stuff that previously hadn't been accessible due to privacy laws and stuff like that, the like 72 years are being released. Um, Ancestry and Family Search are constantly getting new collections in. So that's constantly being added to. The second reason I tell you to wait is give yourself a brain break. Sometimes you just need time away to process it because overload is real. When you're looking at this information day after day and for hours at a time, your brain just shuts down, it stops. So sometimes you just need to walk away, take a break, and then come back to it. Another reason you do that is because when you look at something with fresh eyes, you might see something you missed, um, and make you think of other things like, oh, where else could I find this information? If I can't find the marriage record at the courthouse, could I try looking at the church? Could I try looking in the newspaper? And it's just things you don't necessarily think of the first time around, but a little time away can let you think of new ideas. The second big thing to do is review. Go over what you already have. As I said, are things spelled differently? One thing I noticed when I was looking for my family was Springs Field versus Springfield. Those are not the same places. They are in totally different parts of the state. So it was no wonder I wasn't able to find what I was looking for. I had gone through the transcribed version of the records and it had said Springfield. But when I actually pulled out the record and went over and looked at the scan of the original, it was Springsfield. Totally different county, totally different part of the state. Opened up a whole lot of research for me just by going back and reviewing. Are you looking at the full or abbreviations? is the word spelled out? Do you have SPFLD versus Springfield? Do you have, like I said, the transcript of a document versus the actual, or the index of it versus the actual document? Who are all the people? Look at the document. Are there other names on there that you see in the same type of records? Like, is one person signing as the witness in all of your marriage certificates? Or is one person always the informant on a death certificate? Who is this person? And see if you can research them to find out more information. And it lets you look at what documents are you missing? What do you need to help fill in the gap? Do you have any documents with parents' names? Do you have them with locations or dates? And it's also important to check your work as well. Did you accidentally write down the wrong date, like June 8th versus the 18th, because you were in a hurry? Did you spell something wrong? Did you change the dates? Errors happen. We're human. It's part of it. Just go back and check. And a lot of times, like I said, the Springsfield versus Springfield made a world of difference when I was researching. The next thing is the name game, spellings. Try different spellings of your name, even if it's not your spelling, especially in census records, if you're looking for them. A lot of the census takers just spelled names the best they could, especially if they were non-native names to the area they were in. Try using the index version, document versions, old versions. Any way on any document you have found that the name is spelled, try searching with that name or sound it out. Another thing you can use is the Soundex. This is a coded last name that people used, excuse me, to help sort names at some point in time during the Great Depression when the work programs and all that were happening. This is something that they did. So they took all of the surnames that had the same sounds, like Smith and Smythe. They sound very similar. They are spelled kind of similar, and they would be all filed together. So sometimes what happened is the Smith could have been spelled with an I or a Y. So when you're researching, try all those various spellings. Regional pronunciations can make a big difference in, like we talked about, the census takers spelling it phonetically. In one area, a name might be like Cantrell, and then another area, it might be Cantrell. And they are spelled phonetically totally differently, even though actually they are spelled the exact same way. So that can change how you need to look things up as well. Using a map or a timeline, this is something that has helped me numerous times. So, like, I would start with a birth date or a big event and end with the death date, and then start filling in as I find documents to add to it. And you look at it as like, what's a logical document? Okay, I'm not going to find a birth cert or a marriage license 3 years after they were born, but about 20 years later, it's possible. I'm not going to find a divorce record before a marriage record, most likely, unless they had a marriage we didn't know about. So it helps you kind of process things and see when you need to be looking for things and kind of what area. Same thing with a map. If you start with where they were born and end with where they died, you can tell, did they move a lot or were they in one area? Were counties close together? Because sometimes people would just go to the closest courthouse, not necessarily the courthouse they were in. I have family that lives on a county line. So they lived in Johnson County, but most of their records are in Godolphin County. I would not have thought to look at that if I hadn't looked at a map to see how close they actually were. And that helped, again, open up some new doors. Keep trying. Eventually, information will come along and help you get unstuck. And you'll either find out what you're looking for or you'll find a new way to get the information that you need. For example, that grandfather that I told you I couldn't find from 1860 to 1900, eventually I thought to apply for his Social Security record. They sent me his Social Security application, which at the time was like a quarter sheet of paper with his name and where he was born. It was a totally different place than the Minnesota they had told me. It was Michigan. And from researching there, I was able to find out he wasn't actually born in Michigan. He was born in Sweden. But because I found that one document years later, because I thought of a new way to come up with it, I was able to get unstuck and continue my research. So I know it's not a lot, but it'll give you an idea of things you can talk about and things you can try. And hopefully this will help you get unstuck in your research. And as always, if you guys have questions, go ahead and send me an email. And I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope this helps you with your research.